Yo, what's poppin' everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Sunglasses Zach here. Today we're going to be covering over the top 10 best decks in formats. We just had Charlotte Regional Championships, which is the biggest tournament that we've had in North America of all time. That being said, a lot of movement has changed in our list, so we will be covering over all that, the reasons why it's changed, all of the deck lists, and more. That being said, let's get into it. Yeah. Coming in hot at number 10 is the Cal Connor Special. We have Snorlax Block Control. After a long day of play and getting into the venue at 6 o'clock in the morning, we have Cal Connor, who made top 16, tying his winning in to the top 8 of the tournament. That being said, Snorlax has recently fallen down a little bit, and that has to do with both Tina winning the Charlotte Regional Championships and Roaring Moon exploding in popularity, both of those being very difficult matchups to pilot here. So I feel like Snorlax has a spot in the top 10, but I do want to note you're playing this deck and you're trying to dodge two very successful decks that you'll probably see on this list. Is that something you really want to do? That's a really difficult question. And if you're Cal, sometimes you just dodge really well. And if you're other players, sometimes you're stuck not getting championship points. I think it's a little bit high risk, high reward kind of gameplay, but that's how it's going to be sometimes. We do have all of our lists available for copy and paste right into PTCG Live in our pinned comment below. Check out our description if you want to have access to any of our sponsors to support the Shuffle Squad, along with discount codes for most. What's going to be our number 9 deck? Well, put your best comments in the comment section below. Gholdengo! At number 9, we got this coin bonus using card. And a shout out to the Gamilla brothers for really going far with the Gholdengo deck. Jarek made top 32. Gem made day 2. And they both had a really successful run. They took the list that Cal Connor played to a Tournament of Doom, modified it a little bit, and we're like, yeah, you want to know what? There are some good matchups in the room. Gholdengo is not necessarily so bad. So as they've kind of worked and they're working towards this list, I think it's one of those things where Gholdengo might actually pop up a little bit more. It's still a little bit like unknown, a little bit uncertain. I've heard varying things about the Lost Tina matchup, but let's be told, I think it's one of those things where it beats Charizard for the most part. And with Charizard coming in second, with Caleb Rogerson's massive finish, I think that Gholdengo might have an opportunity to make it rain in the future. What do you think about Gholdengo? Do you think Gholdengo is just kind of a flash in the pan? Or is it going to be our mainstay top 10 deck until at least we receive Temporal Forces? Love to hear your thoughts. Let's see what we got going on at number 8. I honestly would not believe it if you told me, but you wanna know what? I'm starting to believe it. Arc Gigas is at number 8, and it continuously climbs up our list, largely due to Makani seeing some large success, unfortunately bubbling at number 9. I went with his list for this deck, and I mean, I think it's one of those things where he's kind of the arc master in the game, continuously pushes the boundaries with the deck alongside his crew of friends. Really the biggest change that we're seeing here is that there's extra bib. We cut out the Radiant Alakazam and we added a Mawile. Nothing else too big, but we have changed a couple cards to make those room for it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I feel like this is the type of deck where I would struggle against Lost Tina, but maybe I'd be able to beat some other decks. I think it's one of those things where Makani really knows what they're doing with this deck. It is very much a Path plus Iono deck. After using Starbirth, which can be quite strong. We see it with Mew DTE all the time. I really don't see any difference between playing it with an Arc deck. Gigas is cool, but we're just using Gigas for big damage and big HP. Zapping its way into the number 7 spot is Turbo Miraidon EX. Now, ZulGG, the player that's been tearing it up this season, and I mean, top 4 Worlds, they went ahead and I think top 4 regionals so far this season. Yeah, that player in their group decided to play Miraidon EX for the Charlotte Regional Championships. This is their list. And there's a couple cool things like playing a Pokemon catcher. They took a modified version of the list that Anil, one of my local players, played towards a top 16 finish at LAIC. That kind of popped up the popularity of going for more than like 12, 13 energies with Miraidon. and now we're seeing 16, 17, 18. And mixed it with Nick Moffat's list that played Experience Share to give you some opportunities to kind of checkmate your opponent. Mew EX is quite strong against Lost Tina because you're able to hit for 280 automatically by copying their Lost Impact attack. Raichu can knock out whatever you like, and Iron Hands is good against all single prize card Pokemon. I think we have kind of the makings of a solid deck here. Might see a few more changes, might see other Miraidon pop in. However, I think energies are just good at this point, and Peony build makes it a little bit quicker than most expect. So that being said, I think this version of Miraidon's slightly better for now. We'll see if it flip-flops in the upcoming weeks. Kicking it at number 6 is the hybrid Mew VMAX with Path to the Peak into it. So this is the build that focuses on using Fusion Strike energies, and it puts them on your Genesect so that you can get around Tomb. There might be a little bit of Tomb and Drapion on this list because a lot of players were expecting Mew VMAX. And they wouldn't be wrong when Tina was kind of dubbed the best deck by both of it making finals at the Portland Regional Championships. It really came to the point of, yeah, Mew is probably one of the better tier 1 decks, or tier 1.5, one of the better decks in format at least, that can tackle a Tina, and all the Tinas are like, maybe we'll add Spiritomb into our deck, or maybe other players kind of notice that and realize. So there's a lot of Spiritomb teching going on this week. Fusion Strike Energy stops that. One of the things that's holding back Mew from seeing success is there is quite a bit of Charizard and Roaring Moon in our format. They're not necessarily auto losses because Path Judge goes crazy, but it's also not necessarily anything where you want your opponent to be doing double the amount of damage for free. So I think Mew VMAX is probably closer to the middle of the pack, however it can pop off at any time. Lost Mining its way all the way at number 5 is Lost Zone SableZard. Now, this is really one of those decks where it kind of has had its ups, its downs, its ups, its downs, and it really takes a Lost Zone box master to bring it back. And that's why we're looking at Alex Szymanski's list, who recently made top 8 at the largest regionals of all time. Alex, being a TSS member, has always been known to innovate on decks and really takes the version of the list that we saw that won Stuttgart Regional Championships, modified it a little bit to add Drapion back in, and really goes from there. Alex has largely seen a lot of success with Lost Zone box decks, and has also died by Lost Zone box decks as well, but this time they were able to make top 8, and it's all good from here. This is one of the decks that has a better matchup against the Lost Tina deck, just because you have Jirachi and Manaphy. They don't. You have access to doing damage with the Radiant Charizard for a lot of things. They don't. So I mean, single prize card version of the deck is usually going to be able to outplace other versions. I mean, maybe Roxanne can hurt you, and there are a couple game lines. It's not an auto win, but I think that's really where this deck has come to be. Will it continue to see success? I think so, as long as Lost Tina is seeing the utmost success in this format. Psychic embracing its way to our number 4 spot is Gardevoir EX. Now, I believe we go with Bodie Robinson's list from Portland Regionals, and to me that is kind of the hands-down best version of the list available. Could we cut a research for another worker? Yes, maybe. But I think like everything is well balanced. I've seen lists without Cresselia. I think there's enough Lost Zone box where I like Cresselia in here. I think that there's, it kind of has, like, it kind of touches all bases with this deck. Now, this list is probably going to change in the very near future, because we're about to switch from the Paradox Rift that we see there to Paldean Fates, and we're going to add Moonlit Hill to this deck. If you're a Patreon subscriber, I've already updated lists with some of the few new cards that we have from Paldean Fates, so be sure to check that out. And if you're not a Patreon subscriber, check in our description of this video. Click on there, support the Shuffle Squad, gain access to all of our articles, all of our deck lists, and just kind of hang out and chat with the squad in our Patreon exclusive Discord. I think Gardevoir is pretty plain right now, but plain doesn't mean bad. Like the classics of peanut butter and jelly, or for those who can't eat peanuts, soy nut butter and jelly, or you know what I'm saying? Like one of those things. It's a classic. It's a classic list. It looks sick. It's baller. We go with it. This is what I'd be rocking if I was rocking the Gardevoir deck. What's that? We're going to the moon? Okay. Number 3, we got Roaring Moon EX, Ross Cawthon's top 8 list. And when you see a name like Ross Cawthon, you're like, okay, that sounds familiar. Well, it would sound familiar if you've played Pokemon for the past 20 years, because Ross is the only player in the Masters Division to receive their World Championship invite every single year. And with their top 8 performance at Charlotte, it seems like they're well on their way to receiving the World's invite for 2024 in Honolulu, Hawaii. There are some strange things about this list, such as not playing Water Energy, not going with 4 Professor Setas, slapping in a random Judge, Emergency Jelly. But my whole thing is, why would I ever doubt someone like Ross? I have the utmost respect for players who have been playing for that length of time. Like, I've been playing forever, and I've been looking up to Ross every single year. I've seen Ross at Worlds every single year, and it's really one of those things where shout out to him and his successes. So if something seems weird, I'd say give it a try. Otherwise, I would go with Brandon Bond's list. They also made day 2, so check out the Limitless page for Charlotte's, or the PTCG Legends page for Charlotte, and really go from there. But I think that this is a super inventive list, straight to the point, and it's probably better than most people realize, including myself not realizing how strong this deck might be. Burning it up at number 2 is Charizard EX. Charizard EX is a deck that I thought would have probably ended at number 1 in our format, because I think this is the last week of me covering Paradox Rift. Don't worry, Paldean Fates is almost the same. But we got Caleb Rogerson's second place list, brought to you by the Azul GG YouTube channel. And I mean, I don't really see any problems with this list. It kind of solves every single thing that we want with Zard. And I mean, as the metagames progressed, and as North American regionals and global regionals have kind of progressed, this is kind of the decided deck. And you'll find towards the end of the format, these are the lists that are going to live on forever. So if you want to have access to the best lists available, I really think that this is the best Charizard list. If you want to change anything up, you're like, hey, Caleb Rogerson, you're not right. Hey, Azul, you're not right. Hey, other countless players, including myself, who have put effort into Charizard to get it to this point, you're wrong. And I mean, I give it a try. If you aren't used to the 6 energies with the double super rod, start practicing it. Get used to your energy management. And I mean, I think that there's some things that we could change a little bit about this list, like on a personal level. Across the board, this is a list that I would recommend to anyone playing at a regional championships. Like, if you're scrambling on a Friday night, you're going to Liverpool, Knoxville, Melbourne, whatever. This is the type of list that I would rock and just be like, you want to know what? Let the strength of Charizard carry me. This brings us all the way to our number 1 pick. I'm sure it's easy for a lot of you to guess. Maybe it's not. Put your best guesses in the comments below. Again, for all of the cards in this list, this top 10 list that is, or this specific deck list, check out our sponsors, pick up some cards there. We do have that pinned comment with the copy and pastable list. So that'd be swag if you could check it out. Let's jump into our number 1. Boom, here we have it. Lost Tina it up. This is one of those decks. I actually had like this thing come to me the other day where I'm like, I remember playing Lost Tina at Kansan Games in the GTA up in Canada the week before LEIC, and I was like, yo, I think this is the best deck in formats. I got my butt handed to me in this best of one 1K tournament or whatever. It was like a win a case or something like that. And then I kind of got off the beaten path and was like struggling to find things. Tina has always been our savior in this format, and I think it took too long for us to realize. If it wasn't for the likes of Grant Hayes, Alberto Conti, some brave souls at the Latin American International Championships, I do not think Tina would have deserved its flowers. But here we are. Tina's the best deck. This to me is kind of just standard stock list. You could always cut a water for a Manaphy. A lot of people ask, why don't you play Manaphy? Well, I'm not too scared of Radiant Greninja, and even as players kind of go on, Radiant Greninja it's either good or it's not good. A lot of players are attacking Manaphy to the point where I cut the waters from my list, cut the Avery, and I added in a Roaring Moon and 3 Darkness Energies for myself at this regional championships in Charlotte. This is probably the better list right now. And that was really to kind of counter all the Mews going on with everything in the metagame and Charizard and I would just go standard Tina. It's pretty much perfected. I do like this version with switch cards and switch and escape rope more than I like Vinny's for switch cards, just because I don't want my Tinas up active and I don't want my opponents to be able to play around that. So will Tina continue to stay the #1 deck for the rest of the formats? We'll have to see. But right now it is, and I wish everyone the best luck at their next event, whether it's a League Challenge, League Cup, regionals, anything unofficial, whatever. Tina's on top. Let me close things out. And that's what we got going on for our video today. Hopefully you enjoyed learning more about these top deck lists, seeing what's going on. And again, we do have all of the deck lists compiled in the pinned comment below, so check that out. There's reference videos for most of these decks. If there's not a reference video, odds are we're probably working on it. A lot of great content over at the Shuffle Squad. And if you need anything else, be sure to hit me up on Metafy for some coaching, or just hit me up on X for some Twitter banter, whatever we want to call it. I don't know, Twitter, X. I'll leave the questions for you, but let me know in the comments what you think. That being said, I'll catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. Hey trainers, tired of having too many cards lying around? I know that feeling, and I know what a hassle it is to try and sell those cards. But selling bulk is now easier than ever with TCG Bulk. Find tons of potential buyers in a single place. You just download the app, look for the best buyer near you, and carefully pack your bulk, ship it, and you get paid. It really is that simple. Turn the cards you don't want into the cards you absolutely need for your next deck. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.